We last time started with classification of microorganisms. Now, as you can see into the screen, we last time completed bacteria, the very first part or the very first type of classification which we studied under microscope. Along with it, we also discussed about protista, and we also went through the pictures of protista. Now today we will be looking at its characteristics, following with two more groups, that's fungi and algae. Okay? And there's one more separate surprise element after your algae, which is there in your textbook, but not directly. It is included under classification of microbes. Now let's see about that specific organisms once we are done with till algae. So let's proceed towards protista. I hope you remember bacteria first. We last time studied different shapes of bacteria, their names and their characteristics, following with an important thing, that is the size of a microbe. I hope you remember what is mu m, 10 raised to 6 micrometer, and what is nanometer, that's 10 raised to minus 9. The table was given to you. Okay, so starting with protista, let's first revise with images of protista. Okay, now protista, where do we find them? We find them either in moist soil, we find them in damp places, we find them in watery area. Okay, and they are microscopic as well. So again, we have different types of protist. They can be either autotrophic, who can produce their own food, or they can be heterotrophic, who cannot produce their own food. Correct? The most classical example of protista is paramecium. Followed by this is your amoeba. Both of them are heterotrophic. Then we have volvox. Green color, that means it is autotrophic. Since it has chloroplast inside it, it can produce its own food. And same, like volvox, we have one more protist, which is autotrophic in nature. Its name is euglena. Right? So this is what we know. Now, I want you to clearly observe the images and find out that are all the protists looking similar to each other? We have studied about pseudopodia. Of paramecium, cilia. Noticed. See, looking at these four images, none of the protist is looking similar to each other. All of them are having different shape, different structure, different colors, right? Therefore, they also come from different types of habitats. Habitats matlab jis jagah se wo aate hai. ठीक है? So if they're coming from different places, having different locomotory organs, don't you think they will also have different type of mode of nutrition? That means all these four examples which you are able to see right now, okay? Two of them are autotrophic, two of them are heterotrophic. That means दोनों का इन चारों का खाना अलग अलग है, ठीक है? इनमें से can I say the way that they are eating food is also different? Yes, this is called as having different mode of nutrition. Now, does all the protists have cilia? No. Do all protists have pseudopodia? No. Pseudopodia are only there for amoeba. Cilia are only there for paramecium. Similarly, can I say these are the organisms which show wide variety in case of mode of nutrition and their habitat? Okay? Now let's quickly visit their characteristics. It is just the same. Now looking at them, what can you tell? Are they unicellular or multicellular? Have a look. Number one, they are unicellular microorganisms. That means the whole body will be just made up of a single cell. Okay? They are found in soil, water bodies, and on the bodies of other organisms. Some of them are pathogenic. Now, what is pathogenic? We have discussed this earlier. Pathogen means any microbe capable of causing disease. This word was given to you in your dictionary words. That means few protists are harmful. They can cause disease. Therefore, they are called as pathogenic in nature. Okay? The fourth point, that they are eukaryotic. That means they show advanced type of cell. We know in prokaryotic we have only bacteria. Others like protista, or it could be fungi or algae. All these three types are considered under eukaryotic microorganisms because they show advanced type of cell which has a well-defined nucleus inside it. Okay? Let's go on to the next point. They reproduce by simple cell division. What is simple cell division? One cell divides into two. That is what is simple cell division. And the next, this is what we have discussed right now. They show variation in cell structure. We have seen that in the diagrams. Alag-alag type ke cells hai. Variation in organs of locomotion. Right? Cilia is different, pseudopodia is different, and modes of nutrition. Now you will question, how is their mode of nutrition different? See, if there is a protist which is living in water, so obviously the food of that protist in water will be different from the protist which is living in soil. Correct? This is called as having variation in cell structure, organs of locomotion, and mode of nutrition. Okay? Okay. Now these are the characteristics. Now let's look at the size. The size of the protist is approximately 200 μm. That is little bigger than bacteria. Okay? And you better know what is the meaning of μm. It's nothing but micrometer. So size of protist is approximately near to 200 micrometer. Okay? So we are all set with protista. Let's have a look at the diagrams given in your textbook. This is it. First is paramecium and second is entamoeba. It's nothing, it's a type of amoeba. And the image of entamoeba is bluish in color because it is a photograph taken from the microscope in which blue color dye is used. Okay, now let's go on to our next classification or next microbe, which is nothing but fungi. Okay, now we have studied fungi earlier also when we were studying the 5 kingdom classification given by Robert Whittaker. So characteristics are well known to us. Okay, this will be easier for you as well. Let's first go through the photographs. The first one which you are able to see. Again, a classic type of mushroom, which is also an example of fungi. Now look at the base of the diagram. Where are you finding it? It's somewhere out in nature. We have leaves, we have greenish structure, and we have black color base. So that black color base is not a pure soil. It's the decaying organic matter. And I hope you know that our leaves, our dead bodies of small insects, everything, anything made up of plant which is died is also called as organic matter. So fungi lives on dead and decaying organic matter. Correct? Now this is a mushroom. The second diagram is a classic example of bracket mushroom. Have a look at it. See how are they arranged? Now this bracket mushroom is attached on a dead tree bark. The blackish color which you are able to see is nothing but a dead tree जिसके ऊपर इस फंगस ने अटैक किया है and it's growing. All right, and how is it going to grow? You know, fungus is saprophytic in nature. What is saprophytic? We have learned this. What is saprophytic? Anybody? If you can recall, come on quickly. What's saprophytic? Yeah, saprophytic means when food is obtained by absorbing things from this dead and decaying material. Now, when I'm speaking about dead and decaying material, it can be decaying body of any organism. It can be decaying body of any animal or any plant. Okay? Let's quickly have look at its characteristics. Okay? The first point, they can be unicellular or multicellular. Depends. Few are visible through naked eyes as well. What is naked eyes? That means normally the vision which you are able to see through your eyes is called as vision of naked eye. So you do not always require a microscope to observe it. Correct? Okay. Found on dead and decaying bodies of other organisms. Very much known to you, a very familiar point. Now, if I'm asking, fungus is autotrophic or heterotrophic, your answer is going to be heterotrophic. But if you're very keen to give specific answer, your answer should be they are heterotrophic, and in heterotrophic they are saprophytic. What is saprophytic? Absorbing food from dead and decaying organisms. Correct? So can I call fungus as a saprotrop? Yes. The spelling will be SAPROTROPHS. सिर्फ वो आखिरी का फिक जो है ना PHIC वो रिप्लेस हो जाएगा by IC will be replaced by S. That's it. Okay, let's have a look at the next point. They are obviously eukaryotic. In case of fungus, they are eukaryotic, but they also have cell wall. Now you will question again, they have cell wall, but they don't photosynthesize. Tell me, which is the primary cell organelle required for performing photosynthesis? You know this, you have studied in your 7th standard, right? Correct, chloroplast. Since fungus do not show chloroplast within them, they do not photosynthesize. Therefore, they are not autotrophic in nature. Okay? Reproduction. Now, reproduction is by two-way method. First method is by sexual reproduction, which occurs by cell division. And second method is by asexual reproduction, which occurs by budding. Now, let me take a quick chance to explain this to you in detail so that you will be in better state to understand what is budding and what is cell division. I will quickly show you it over a whiteboard. Okay, now on the screen, if you are able to see a single cell, okay, this is cell and inside the cell is a nucleus. Okay, if this cell is undergoing a cell division, this cell will divide into two parts. And these two parts will be equally divided, from which you will have two cells as resultant. ठीक है. So this specific cell which underwent cell division will be called as parent cell. ठीक है, जो divide हो गया है. And the other two cells which are newly formed cells, ठीक है, they will be called as daughter cells. Are you getting it? So such type of reproduction, when you see, this is called as sexual reproduction. I am only speaking about fungi for now. When a cell divides into two equal cells or two daughter cells, this is called as cell division, and it is a type of sexual reproduction shown by fungi. Okay. Now let's have a look at what is budding. Okay. To understand budding, I will quickly show you a fungus. If this is the stalk of the fungus, and if this is its umbrella shaped structure, okay? What will happen at the stalk of the fungus, this area which I'm mentioning, over here you will have a small bud. Are you able to see the red dot? Okay? And what will happen eventually, this bud will start growing. This bud will grow in such a way, and it will act or take a shape of that umbrella like thing which is already present. Okay? And once this bud grows, and if I'm magnifying this bud part, it will look exactly like the parent part. See, this will be stalk attached, and this will be that small bud part attached to the main body stalk. This is how exactly it is going to look. After this bud becomes matured enough, ठीक है, ये bud यहाँ से detach हो जाएगा. What will detach? ये bud यहाँ से निकल जाएगा, so that the gray color thing, what you were able to see, it will remain at the same place. But what will happen? This bud will fall off on the ground. Okay? And once it falls off on the ground, it will again behave like an individual fungus body. Are you getting me? Now tell me, when there was cell division, okay, it is always, wherever there's cell division, it will always come under sexual reproduction. And when there's budding, you see in budding, there's only one parent involved. It's a single plant, right? And without taking help of any other plant, it is producing a younger ones. Therefore, this type of reproduction will be called as asexual reproduction. I hope the concept is clear to you. Okay? Now let's quickly move on back to our slide. Now let me read the point again for you. Reproduction can be done in two ways, either sexually by cell division and asexually by budding. Okay? And the size of fungus is from 10 micrometer or 10 μm to 100 μm. That is the range of size of fungus which we find. All right, I'll quickly revise the points. They can be unicellular or multicellular. They can be also visible through naked eyes without using microscope. They are found on dead and decaying bodies of other organisms. They are saprotrophic in nature. They absorb food by dead and decaying. That is what is the meaning of saprotrophic. They have eukaryotic cell within them with a cell wall, and reproduction is by both ways, sexually and asexually. Correct? So we are done with our fungi. Okay? Coming to the second last part of the lesson, which is algae. Now, we haven't heard about algae previously when we learned about the 5 kingdom of classification. Okay? But there are few algae which are very, very small. Therefore, they are also inculcated in microorganisms. You also have huge algae which are extremely big in their nature. but the small ones are included under microorganisms. Now, what is algae? You must have heard about it. In Hindi, they are called as sheval, and in Marathi, they are called as shevar, right? The greenish color floating things which we see either on the compound wall or over the water bodies, on in lakes, in ponds, this is nothing but the same green color. Now tell me, if they are green in color, what will be present inside them? You're right, it's chloroplast. And if algae are going to have chloroplast, can I say that they are autotrophic in nature? Can I say that algae are autotrophic in nature? Yes. Understanding? Okay. So let's have look. So this is just a rough bunch of algae collected. This is how they look once they're out of water. The name of this algae, which are able to see, is called as Spirogyra. Don't worry, I'll give you the spelling. Okay. Now what am I going to do? I'm going to zoom this image a bit. Okay. So we fiber in detail. This is how it will look under 10x of microscope. Still, there are many fibers which are overlapping on each other. Now we will zoom this little more so that we are able to focus on one cell. Correct? Spirogyra. You also got the spelling of it. Now this compartment like rectangular shaped structure, what you are able to see is nothing but one cell of Spirogyra. Okay? And in this one cell, you will have small dots. Let's have a look at it in detail. You also have Spirogyra's diagram to be drawn in your 9th standard. So better look at the diagram very carefully. Okay. So we know that they are eukaryotic. We know that they are found in water. Okay. Therefore, can I call them as aquatic because they are found in water? Yes, this word was taught. Of producing their own food, what do I call them? Yeah, they are autotrophs because they will be showing autotrophic mode of nutrition. Correct? Very good. Let's have a look at it. Now your question will be, are they unicellular or multicellular? Depends, because there's again a lot of varieties under algae. There are also algae which are non-green in color. There are red algae, there are brown algae, जिनमें क्लोरोप्लास्ट का क्वांटिटी काफी कम होती है. ठीक है? So point number 1, they are aquatic in nature. That means they will be found in water. Second, they are unicellular or they can be multicellular as well. Few of them are visible through naked eyes as well. Now, when it comes to algae, let me tell you, a very small group of algae are unicellular. 80% of the algae are multicellular. Okay? Obviously, autotrophic because they perform photosynthesis, because they have chloroplast within them. They are eukaryotic. We have studied this in the chart, the first slide which we saw today. Yeah. So algae are also eukaryotic in nature and they have cell wall like any plant would have. Okay? Let's come to the size. The size of algae is again 10 micrometer to 100 micrometer. Now this range is only for small microscopic algae. All the algae which we are able to see, the huge ones, will not come in the similar range. Correct? If you want, you can Google up different names like, what can I say? Ulva, ULVA. It is again मैक्रोस्कोपिक एल्गे. जो एल्गे या फिर जो भी ऑर्गेनिजम्स हम लोग माइक्रोस्कोप के अंदर देखते हैं उसको हम लोग माइक्रोस्कोपी कहते हैं. And all the organisms which we are able to see from our naked eyes are called as macro. That means bade, macroscopic organisms. Easy, right? Only 4 points. And if you're good at remembering the diagram nicely, there is no need to separately by heart the points. Okay? Fine. Let's go on to the next superb and surprisingly topic. It's virus. Now you will wonder that virus was not there in the chart, but it is something which is extremely important to study. Let's take an example of COVID, right? It is nothing but a virus. We call it as coronavirus. So it's the most hot topic to be studied right now. Okay? Now, before understanding a virus, you must have seen many images of virus like this in the news, in the newspaper, popping up somewhere on the textbook. All of the things will be with some imaginary. Now, whatever diagrams you get or whatever images you get for virus, is 100 to 200 times smaller than a single bacteria. What did I say? The size of a virus is 100 to 200 times smaller than one bacteria. So now if I have to understand the size of virus, I cannot study it under μm. I will use another unit, that's 10 raised to minus 9, nothing but nanometer. So viruses will always exist in the sizes of nanometers, extremely small. And since they're extremely small, it becomes difficult for a scientist to study them. Correct? Now what you're able to see is a spherical structure, a ball-like structure, and it has got on knobs over it. These knobs which are stick to that ball-like structure are nothing but the proteins of virus. Please remember, these knob-like structures which are stuck on this spherical ball-like part is nothing but proteins of the virus. Okay? Now there's a very, very, very interesting and very, very, very important thing. What is it? वायरस को हम कभी भी लिविंग थिंग्स में कंसिडर नहीं करते. ठीक है? So you will get a question then, are virus non-living? No, they are also not non-living. Then you will ask me, कि अगर वायरस लिविंग नहीं है या फिर अगर वायरस नॉन लिविंग भी नहीं है, then what are they exactly? Let me quickly show you. ठीक है? Virus are creatures which are always said to be living on the verge of existence. Now you will ask कि क्या है, पूरा bouncer जा रहा है. Okay, let me quickly make you understand something. ठीक है? If this is a line, ठीक है? All the population existing on the right hand side of the line is said to be living. And all the population existing on the left hand side of the line will be called as non-living. I hope you are getting it. If they are on the right hand side, then they'll be called as living. And if they are on the left hand side, then they will be called as non-living. Okay? So what makes a difference between living and non-living? It's just the line. And when I'm talking about virus are the organisms that are living on the line. समझ में आ रहा है? Therefore, viruses are said as creatures that are on the edge of living and non-living. समझ में आया? There's a very, very important line and this can be also asked in your fill in the blank, that organisms at the edge of living and non-living are called as dash. Your answer will always has to be virus. Understanding? Now, if they are extremely small in their size, tell me, will we be able to look at them through our naked eyes? No, right? But will a normal microscope do? Can you look at the virus by using a normal microscope? No, right? Why? Because if we want to have a look at virus, we will always require electron microscope. समझ में आ रहा है? Yes, correct. We will always require an electron microscope. ठीक है? So let's quickly understand how does a virus will actually be. Now you have already seen the structure of virus. Now what is exactly virus? Let's understand the virus. ठीक है? I hope the screen is clear to you. Now whenever we talk about a cell, okay, we know that there is a cell. Inside the cell we have a nucleus, right? Correct? And inside the nucleus what we have is nothing but the DNA. Now this is with respect to humans. But when we speak about other organisms, they might have DNA inside their nucleus, or they will have RNA inside their nucleus. I hope this is clear to you. This red color portion is cell. Inside the cell you have red color nucleus, and inside the nucleus the white color line is nothing but the DNA. ठीक है? तो virus actually है क्या? Virus is itself a long molecule of DNA. Virus खुद क्या है? Virus, अगर मैं किसी भी वायरस के बारे में बात कर रही हूँ, तो virus itself is nothing but this DNA or RNA twisted forms. ठीक है? So this is a virus. Now, if this virus has to protect itself, what will it do? It will protect its genetic, मतलब it will protect its innermost surface by using a covering. So this covering which is there outside of the virus is called its protein core. क्या कहा मैंने? Protein core. ठीक है? And inside what do you have? Either DNA or RNA. And to protect this coat, you again have small knob-like structures, जो हम लोग ने उस picture में देखे थे, right? Which will look like this, and which will cover the entire surface. So this entire structure, जो आंखों के सामने दिख रहा है, is a virus. Virus is nothing but a molecule of either DNA or RNA, जिसके बाहर coating रहेगा protein का, and it will have a protein coat. Are you getting? Okay. Now let's have a look at our slide back. Okay? Let's quickly go through the characteristics. Number one, virus is a long molecule of DNA or RNA covered by a protein coat. ये मैंने अभी आपको बताया. Correct? Full form of DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid and full form of RNA is ribonucleic acid. They are 10 to 100 times smaller than a bacteria and can be seen through electron microscope only. This is known to us. Okay? Now, how will virus behave? They will attack on any plant or animal. जिस भी organism को attack करेंगे, ये उसके अंदर जाके they will divide quickly. That means they will produce replica, मतलब खुद के जैसे और इंसान बनाएंगे, इंसान इंसेस और वायरस बनाएंगे. They'll grow a lot, they'll increase their population. Finally, they'll also harm the host, like a parasite. And once they are done with the host, they will jump off to the second host. So virus will survive only in living plants or living animal cells and produce their own proteins with the help of host cells. They create numerous replica. Replica is खुद के जैसे और organisms बनाते जाते हैं. Understood? And you all know that virus also leads to many type of diseases in both plants and animals. Now here I complete with your chapter. Our chapter number 1 is completed, which is from your page number 1 to 5 in your textbook. Now you also have homework. Oh, let's come to the size. Size of a virus is 10 nanometers to 100 nanometers. Please do not forget this. Okay? Now, what is your homework? The most easiest ones. Okay? If you'll go to your page number 5 of textbook, there is an exercise given. And in this exercise, this question number 7 that speaks about draw a neat and labeled diagram of different type of bacteria, paramecium and bacteriophage. Bacteriophage is a name of a virus. Do not forget this. These images are given in your textbook as well. Okay? Nishant sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. I'm done with the lecture.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.